Good afternoon. So today we're going to talk about reasons for change in supply, and I'm going to give me just a couple examples here before we get to what's in your notes. So the reasons that there are going to be changes in supply include production or input costs, and production or input costs are different than the price that a consumer pays. So if I own a pizza parlor, the sauce, the cheese, the dough, the flour, any of that stuff, those are production costs. Those are input costs. So if those start to increase, that's going to affect what the supplier can produce. Employee wages. This is one of the arguments for minimum wage not being increased because oftentimes when producers have to pay their employees more, they wind up having to either lay people off or they have to decrease the amount of production because of the fact that they can't afford to buy the input. Technology costs. So if I own a business that relies heavily on some sort of software or cloud-based services or tech support services, if those costs increase or decrease, that's going to affect my ability to supply my product. And taxes. Anytime the taxes go up, it costs businesses money, which people argue is the reason we need to keep taxes low for businesses because we don't want to stifle economic activity. All right, so let's get to this part. Now, this is something that I'm going to repeat over and over and over again in your notes today so that hopefully by the end you can say it with me. So if you're a producer and you have less money in your pocket, do you think that you could produce more or less? Hopefully, you said you can only afford to produce less. So you produce less, which is a decrease in supply. And do you think that that is a shift to the left or to the right? Hopefully, you said that is a shift to the left. Now, this is what the supply curves would look like. We have S1 on the right and S2 on the left. So we are shifting from S1 to S2. All right, so let's do that again in reverse. So if you are a producer and you have more money in your pocket, do you think that you can produce more or less? Hopefully you said more. And if you produce more, that's an increase in supply. And do you think that's a shift to the left or to the right? Hopefully you said it's a shift to the right. And this is what the chart would look like. So you have S1 on the left and S2 on the right, and you are shifting from left to right. All right, so let's look at what your notes say. So let's talk about the specific reasons for change in supply. So the first one are an increase in production costs. And remember that this is different than the price that the consumer pays. These are costs to run your business. So if you owned a pizzeria and the cost of sauce and cheese went up, you would have less money in your pocket. If you have less money in your pocket as a producer, you produce, do you think more or less? Less. If you produce less, that is do you think that's an increase or a decrease? Hopefully you said a decrease in supply. And a decrease in supply is a shift to the left or right. Hopefully you said left. Remember, please pause or rewind at any point in time during this video. So, like I said, if you are a producer and you have less money in your pocket, you are going to produce less. And if you produce less, that is a decrease in supply, which is a shift to the left. All right, so let's talk about this. An increase in production costs. So do you think that an increase in production costs is going to be cause an increase or a decrease in supply? So let's chart this. All right, so we have S1. So go ahead and draw S1. Remember, please pause this if you need to. Then you're going to draw S2. And this is where you have to figure out, is this going to cause an increase or a decrease in supply? Hopefully, you realize that an increase in production costs is going to cause a shift to the left because it is a decrease in supply. And that is a shift to the left. All right, so let's do if we had a decrease in production costs. So the cost of tomato, the cost of flour, the cost of sugar, whatever it is that I'm using goes down, what's going to happen? All right, well, we have our S1. Now you have to decide, is this going to cause a decrease or an increase in supply? If I have more money in my pocket, can I afford to produce more or less? Hopefully you said I can afford to produce more. So that is going to be a shift to the right. And that is an increase in supply. All right. So let's go. Remember, please pause if you need to. Let's go to the second one. All right. So employee wages. If you have to pay your workers more because minimum wage went up and you didn't want to lay anyone off, you would have more or less money in your pocket. If you're paying your workers more, you, as the producer, have less money in your pocket. If you have less money in your pocket as a producer, you are going to produce less. And if you produce less, that is a decrease in supply, and a decrease in supply is a shift to the left. Okay. So let's talk about an increase in employee wages. So if you're paying your workers more, is that going to be an increase or a decrease in supply? Hopefully you said it was a decrease in supply. So go ahead and graph that. And remember, please pause this if you need to. All right, so now if I either had to lay some workers off or I cut their wages, but remember, I can't cut it below minimum wage. So I'm paying less money out to my employees. Do you think I, as a producer, have more money or less money in my pocket? Hopefully you said I have more money in my pocket. And if I have more money in my pocket, I can afford to produce more. And if I can produce more, that's an increase in supply. So if that's an increase in supply, that is a shift to the right. Okay. Reasons for change in supply. Another reason would be a decrease in technology costs. If you owned a car repair shop and the cost associated with maintaining your computer system decreased, you would have more money in your pocket because you're not spending as much of it on the computer system. If you have more money in your pocket as a producer, you produce more. If you produce more, that's an increase in supply. And an increase in supply is a shift to the right. All right, so let's graph this. So if I have a decrease in technology costs, I have more money in my pocket. If I have more money in my pocket, then that is going to enable me to produce more. And if I can produce more, that's an increase in supply. And if it's an increase in supply, it's a shift to the right. All right, so please graph that. If I have an increase in technology costs, I have to spend more money on that. So I have less money in my pocket. If I have less money in my pocket, then I can produce less. And if I can produce less, that's a decrease in supply. And if that's a decrease in supply, it's a shift to the left. All right, so please go ahead and graph that. All right, so lastly, if your taxes go up, and taxes costs are a cost for businesses, you would have less money in your pocket. If you have less money in your pocket as a producer, you produce less. If you produce less, that is a decrease in supply. A decrease in supply is a shift to the, hopefully you already knew the answer to that, was a left. All right, so let's graph this. So if I'm paying more in taxes, then I have less money in my pocket. If I have less money in my pocket, then I can afford to produce less. And if I can only afford to produce less, that is a decrease in supply. And if that's a decrease in supply, that is a shift to the left. Lastly, we have a decrease in taxes. So this is what people argue when we need to get rid of so many taxes on businesses, because if they have a decrease in taxes, they have more money in their pocket. And if they have more money in their pocket, they can do lots of different things. They can hire more people, they can increase their supply. And if they increase their supply, then that is going to be a shift to the right. Okay, so hopefully this made sense to you. And if not, please rewind, go back, watch it again, do what you need to do. If you would please do the bell ringer questions from 3-8 and then play the Quizlet game for supply. Mrs. Farrell will then have the Kahoot game for Brenna to run. So sorry I'm not seeing you today. I won't see you tomorrow, so I will see you on Monday. I hope you have a great weekend.